Boston College rounds out their coaching staff with a new hire for the defensive backs.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider. Thank you all who have made Locked On Boston College your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. You will win on your first $5 bet. On today's show, we're going to jump in and talk about football. New official visits have been announced. There's two names I want to talk to you about today that have announced that they're going to be checking out BC for an official visit. I think you're going to want to know about both of them. The staff itself continues to grow, and not just with additions to positions already held, but new positions are coming in. And I want to tell you why that is important for the future of Boston College football. And we're going to lead things off with the biggest news of the weekend that Boston College reportedly has their new defensive backs coach. We have a jam-packed episode. I'm glad you're here to check it out with me. Now, earlier last week, we reported that defensive backs coach Ray Brown, and after his first season with Boston College, a season I thought he did a great job, is heading to the NFL, where he's going to be the cornerbacks coach for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Brown, he was a good recruiter. He knew the state of Oklahoma really well, but was able to really get a lot of attention throughout the country, bringing in a huge recruiting class of 8 or 9 defensive backs in the class of 2025. And I thought he did a good job on the field, too, as BC loses Amari Jackson in the middle of the season. You get guys like Max Tucker, Ashton McShane, so on and so forth that jump up and play better. I think there's a lot of that is on coaching, and you got to give credit to the defensive backs coach for really getting them to step up. Now, it didn't take long for Bill O'Brien to make his hire, and you clearly, with the timing of it, he took. I'm sure he's going to say, and I based on the timing makes sense that he had a process. He probably reached out to a bunch of names, but on Saturday night, Matt Zenitz of CBS and 247 reports that Boston College is set to land Cory Robinson, the former Jacksonville Jaguars defensive backs or cornerbacks coach, to be their new defensive backs coach. Now, Robinson, he has NFL and college experience. You know, he worked at Temple, Rutgers, and a few other places. He also he worked for the New Orleans Saints as an assistant defensive backs coach on a defense that was really good, with Marcus Lattimore leading the way, but he was assistant there. He also he worked for a few other NFL teams in between as well. So this is a really interesting get for BC because you're getting a guy that has both college and pro experience again. And what is one thing the staff loves to tell recruits and to tell anyone who wants to listen? This group has NFL experience. Now, not a knock on Ray Brown, who's out there getting that experience now. He was one guy that didn't have NFL experience. But when you talk to a recruit, when I talk to recruits, excuse me, not when you're not, I hope you're not talking to recruits. When I talk to a recruit, ask them, talking about what they're interested in about BC. NFL experience of the staff is usually one of the biggest things that they bring up. They bring it up because a lot of these kids obviously want to get to the league, and they have coaches that know how to get there. You got Bill O'Brien leading the way. Obviously, he's worked with Brady. He's worked with Watson. He's worked with Bill Belichick. He had his own team with the Houston Texans. He knows what he's doing. You have guys like Will Long, even younger guys that, are just getting into the business. He worked with the Patriots. Dan O'Brien on the linebackers coach. Jordan Thomas, the new defensive line coach. All of these guys have worked in the league. That sells itself to recruits. So Cory Robinson, I think is a good hire. I like the way that this hire turned out because you're getting another guy that's been in the league, a younger coach, one that has it seems like he's on an upward trajectory. He lost his job because Doug Peterson got fired from the Jaguars because the Jaguars were bad. And Liam Cohen takes over that job, and he wants his own staff, so he takes his own guy with him. But to get a guy like this at this point is good. Is it a upgrade from Ray Brown? I'm not sure yet. We'll have to wait to see. I really liked Ray Brown. I thought he brought a lot. He was one of my favorite staffers, I thought, last year, especially on the recruiting trail. But I want to give Cory Robinson a chance. I want to see what he can do. He's originally from Baltimore. So he knows that area, which, if you look back at what BC did last year, that was an area that really kind of died. You had Azar Abdul Rahim under Jeff Halfley, who really knew that area, and the DMV, the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia was a hotbed for where BC would attack. You get those kids from St. Francis, guys like Quan Williams. They were constantly going at that area, but Bill O'Brien didn't because he didn't have a guy that went that spot. I could see Cory Robinson being an area. I love that we were in Oklahoma. And that's going to be a bummer to lose that because that was kind of a cool thing that Ray Brown brought to BC. But long term, what's more valuable and what's more tangible for BC? It's that area. Like, I want to see BC be more East Coast, right? Like, there's so much talent if you go from Massachusetts down to like Georgia, Florida. And you have all those other areas being hit. We don't know what Jordan Thomas is going to hit yet. If he's going to probably maybe do what Jeff Young was doing, which was more the Midwest. But when you looked at O'Brien's like recruiting plan, there's a big void in that DMV area. So there's a potential that Cory Robinson might do that. Now, do I expect him to go after kids from St. Francis Academy again? No. I'm not going to get into that program. I think I don't see a lot of alignment between what they're doing and what BC is doing. I think they're going to probably go elsewhere. But there's a lot of other great schools in that area. So I could see BC doing that. And I think Robinson brings that in. Plus, he's an experienced positional coach. And I think that's going to be helpful too. Like, getting a guy in that knows what he's doing, who has lots of experience, that's important. When he was at Rutgers, he was the cornerback. He was the cornerbacks coach and pass game coordinator, meaning that he ran the defense for passing downs. So he has a lot of he's done a lot, and so this is a good hire. It's funny because Mitch Wolf, who will be on later this week to talk the NFL draft combine. He looks at he's looking at all these different coaches that BC could have went with, and tries to find the connections. And I don't think Cory Robinson was on there, but that just shows you that's a good sign for Bill O'Brien. Is that I think when you had Jeff Halfley here, he only went with the guys he knew and trusted. And O'Brien his first year kind of did too, but you know what? That's not necessarily completely true because Ray Brown and Jeff Young were kind of out of left field. So this is, he's able to go out there and grab other coaches. So when you lose coaches, because this is going to happen every single year, it's just the flow of college football. He has other guys out there that he can go and evaluate and say, I want that coach. I want that coach. And he's able to do it. I've loved both of the hires so far. Jordan Thomas, is a up and coming coach, ready to take over and be a defensive line coach at the Power 4 level. He's done it he did it at San Diego State. He worked with the Browns. You've got, he's obviously got NFL chops. You bring in Cory Robinson, another guy with NFL chops. To me, those are two good hires. So I'm impressed with where they're at right now. And in a moment, I want to look at more of a broader stroke of where BC staffing is at and talk even more than what the coaching looks like, but how the school itself has already started to really build up the staff. We'll talk about what that looks like and why they're putting themselves in a better position in just a moment. March basketball is here, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you can make more or less on at least two projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's fast and easy and keeps every game exciting. When I win, I love Prize Picks because hits my account as little as 15 minutes. It's quick and easy. I learned how to play in seconds. And you can make your picks in less than 60 seconds and stay engaged all game long. If you're watching, a day of a day of baseball or a day of basketball, maybe just sitting on the couch, it's snowing out. Use Prize Picks. It's a great way to get yourself energized in the game. Download the app today and use code Locked On College to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 bet. That's code Locked On College for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 bet. Prize Pick. Run your game. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black here. Thank you all who have subscribed, who have listened on YouTube, who are listen on podcast apps. You guys are my MVPs. Every day are here that knows all about Boston College because of this podcast. I want to shout you all out. And if you want a second listen after this, check out Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin. With so much going on in the world of college football, Spencer has special guests. It's a great podcast if you're looking for a second Locked On channel to listen to. Check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Now, we were talking just about Cory Robinson and even a little bit about Jordan Thomas, the two new coaches entering their first year at Boston College. And I also have to say that Robinson hasn't officially been named yet, but when Matt Zenitz has it, it's usually that is a good get. So I look at where BC's at right now, and I want to say too that this has not just been these two hires this offseason. BC has added a number of other off-field roles that you're going to see more of as you're going to hear about it during the spring. So one of the names that you're going to watch for is Jackson McSherry. He is the director of business operations. He is coming over from Harvard, where he worked for the last 5 years, and he's going to not really be someone that you know of, but put that in your piggy bank of what we're going to talk about. Just saying. Additionally, BC also added Ryan Fink, the assistant coach. He's going to be an assistant offensive line coach. He comes over from Virginia University. I should say the Virginia University, Union University, not UVA. Sorry, I messed that whole joke up. He's going to be assistant. Think of him more filling in for what Doug Marrone did. He's a guy with an incredible story. He had a health issue as a really young kid, came up. He's worked at Alabama, Kentucky, a couple other schools. And, he's going to assist Matt Applebaum. He's got experience. So that's good. You added him. You're adding people in social media. I know that they were adding some people there. They're adding a bunch of other positions behind the scenes. And I'm not going to get into each one of those. But what I'm saying here is you're part of the college football arms race right now. You have coaching staffs that are ballooning across the nation. They're adding in, all these other positions, and many of them are off field, like I just mentioned. Boston College has to keep pace because all of the things I mentioned, whether it's social media, business, assistance on the field, they are going to play a valuable role, and they're going to make every piece of your puzzle more efficient. So, for instance, social media. Why is it important that BC gets a social media director or somebody who's in charge of social media that works along with, guys like Anthony Garrow, who does an amazing job with the social media work that they do? Because think about recruiting, for instance. Where do recruits live? Social media, Instagram, TikTok, some are on X. Like, these guys are everywhere on there. They see that stuff. So to have someone who puts out quality stuff that, videos, reels, whatever, that these recruits see, it's part of your recruiting strategy. When they can see the cool stuff that your team did after a big win, that makes an impact for them, because maybe they live in Georgia and they can't get here to see those games. They pay difference. It pays a difference to the fans. Same thing I just said about recruits. If you're putting out quality Instagram reels and quality Facebook posts that, Boomer Zoomers and Gen Xers can see, that's going to make them interested. They're going to see it and go, wow, something cool's going on at BC. It helps to paint a picture. That's important. Business operations. I don't know specifically what he's going to do versus what Burge Nigerian, who's new from last year. That's a new position. Again, I'm telling you, there's more and more that you're building out. But the days of BC being a good old college football team are gone. They are a business now. We're close to getting to where players are going to be paid revenue sharing. It's going to be happening soon. There's going to be income coming in. You can look at different ways of making money. How can you maximize the amount of money that your school's making? There's a whole bunch of different factors that business is becoming more what college football is than just a game. And so when you combine all these different roles, you see the business part is going to be incredibly crucial. So adding that piece in is going to be important. And then all the on-field stuff. That is kind of like, I want to call it like the quality of life type of thing. The more bodies you have out there to run film with your players, to watch, to talk with your coaching staff, to give advice, to run drills, to do, team meetings, all that kind of stuff, it just makes things easier. And other teams are already doing all that. So you got to keep up. You can't be, when you have a recruit show up for an official visit, and we'll talk about recruiting in just a moment, you cannot have them come and have less than the other peer programs that you have. You're never going to keep up with Florida State or Miami. Those schools are going to continue to pump in absurd amount of money into everything that they do. And maybe Father Jack Butler will change that to a degree. But when you look at a school like Syracuse or Wake Forest, in football, Duke, UNC, those types of schools, there's no reason BC can't keep up with the Joneses there. They have to. So they have to keep building. And I think that was part of the reason Bill O'Brien came here was he got a guarantee that he would be able to do this. That's, he's not going to come here and have one arm tied behind his back and say, "Hey, Bill, go out there and fight these guys." He needs a full arsenal like these other programs do. And I'm pretty sure that was some part of his guarantee to become head coach at Boston College. It's an important, factor for him. So they're building. It's been a little bit slow, but they're going to continue to add to it. You're going to see more and more new names at new positions maybe you're not used to. But that's all part of the new world of college football. You may not like that, and I get that. Like you're going to miss the old world of college football, but this is where the train is heading. BC needs to be on that train. They can't be behind it. They can't be chasing it. And so these additions and the other ones that are coming and maybe have not even been announced are very important for Boston College football. Now, in a moment, I was telling you about recruits. I was saying, these types of new personnel are crucial for recruiting. Well, the first group of official visitors are starting to announce more and more. We're hearing BC's name. I'll explain a couple that you're going to want to watch for in just a moment. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Folks, I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Any of you out there doing live betting on the Quinton Post over-unders, I'm curious to see what that is. I've all looked at that one, but I bet there's some really good numbers out there. Whether I'm backing my Celtics for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three like Quinton Post, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back, Locked On Boston College. AJ Black here. And I want to shout out all my Eagles nesters. These are people part of my subtext program. They get special text messages, special videos from me. If you want to sign up, the code is Bill O'Brien Monster. It's in the code below. And if you're looking for another listen, check out Locked On Celtics with John Corrales. You can find that on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Now, we're wrapping things up here. Our final segment, I want to talk about official visit season. This is as someone who covers recruiting, one of my favorite parts of the year because this is where the offers jump from, they're just checking it out, to even more than just the unofficial visits where they're like, "Oh, let's go see what the school looks like." But I've also checked out 15 other schools too. BC is important to me. I'm going to make them one of my finalists. And so we're starting to get some names of players that are going to get paid. The BC is going to pay to ship them in May and June. Now, this official visit block is the end of May through June during the weekends. And sometimes during the week, too. We just had a couple during the week last year. They come in, and a lot of time, this is where BC builds their recruiting class. Now, Boston College has 9 commitments already. I'm not sure what their class is going to look like size-wise this year. They just took a class of 27 last year, but it could be still pretty big. Who are some names to watch for? Now, if you listened last week, all our everydayers know the name Nyqir Helton. He is out of Winslow Township in New Jersey. He's teammates of Marcus Upton. Marcus Upton was BC's highest rated recruit last year before Sterling Sanders got the bump. And he flipped from Syracuse to BC. This was a nice get for BC last year. Now, Nyqir is got a huge offer list. He's got a bunch of other schools he's looking at. He just announced that he's also going to take official visits to Pitt and Syracuse. Rutgers is still floating around, so it's going to be a Northeast battle for this kid. But from what I've heard, Boston College is in great shape with Helton. I would not be surprised if he gets here. I believe he's the second weekend, June 6th. That weekend, he's going to be one guy that you're going to want to watch for. Good. He's not like a huge, he's not like a Reed Harris or Joseph Griffin type size wide receiver, but good hands, good movement. I like what you get here. Not a highly rated recruit, but his offer list shows that he's got very good offers. That's something a lot of you are very important. I find important, and I get that. I think that's important too. So Nyqir Helton, he's going to be on campus. He's one that I think is important to watch for. Additionally, there is Henry Ohlinger. Henry Ohlinger, we talked about last week as well. June 6th as well. This could be getting a big weekend. He's going to be checking out Indiana, I believe, the week before. He's a running back from Ohio. He's got a huge offer list that includes Iowa, Rutgers, Syracuse. He's got a big offer list too. BC's in good shape with them. They don't have a running back in this class yet. So I look at a guy like Ohlinger and say, this is a good get. He's high 3-star. He's like an 88 or 89. So he'd be an enormous get in terms of class rankings. But there's some other big contenders here. But, I like him. I think he's 6'1", 200 pounds, good size running back, good speed. He puts up video game numbers, but I'm a big fan of those when I'm looking at recruiting films. He put up huge numbers last year for his high school. He is one that I think BC, has done a really nice job with as well. And then, and I haven't even reported this on our website yet, there is another recruit, and his name is Sumad Ed. I think that's how you say it because it's how he has it pronounced. It looks like Edie, but he's coming May 30th. He's coming the first week. He's a defensive back, and he is from Riverside, South Carolina. There you go. South Carolina boy. 6'0", 155 pounds. Probably going to be a cornerback. But again, you want to look at offer lists? His offer list is already starting to pop. In the last, his junior film must have been impressive because in the last month he's received offers from ECU, Maryland, Georgia Tech, and Wake Forest. He also has offers from Kentucky and Liberty and App State. So you're looking at a guy that I think he does not have a rating yet. And I think he could be someone that, is a nice, solid middle of your group type of recruit. He's coming May 30th. That's the first week. His name I wasn't even sure of, but, with the changes in staff, maybe he's someone that knows some of the staff members, especially the defensive backs coach now. And that could be a big one for BC. So those are just some of the new ones. Additionally, most of the guys are if all, unless there's some sort of scheduling issue, that are committed are also going to take official visits. You're going to see the Mark Antunes and the Grittenberry. They're all going to come back and take official visits. Additionally, unofficial visits are going to start popping in all over the place. And I want to preface this, that some of these guys you're going to see and they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's going to be a nice, visitor to see come here. Aiden Reeder, a linebacker from St. Xavier, where Luke Kuechly went. He's going to be taking a visit out of unofficial. So guys like him, wow, that's a good one. But there's also going to be names that are just they just want to check out BC. And BC may not be someone who's really targeting them. So you might see a whole bunch of names. So don't see a name on Twitter and be like, oh, that's a target for BC. That's not really what it means. Some of them may be, but if you want to know who they're going to be actually looking at, stay tuned to Locked On BC or come over to Eagle Insider. Thank you all who have listened today. We're going to be back later tomorrow for another episode of Locked On BC where we'll be talking about everything new going on with the Boston College Eagles, maybe even looking a little bit at the running backs room if there's no big news. There's always big news here, though, at least Locked On BC. Later this week, we'll have Mitch Wolf on to get ready for the NFL Combine. And I really appreciate each and every one of you that have made Locked On BC your first listen. Thank you all. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Go to Eagle Insider. Check me out on Blue Sky, Threads, everywhere. And thank you all for making Locked On Boston College your team every day.